this, I thought I was happy. I thought it was good, but at the same time, it gave me the thoughts of, oh well, because here we don't have that kind of stuff. So automatically, when I see this, I think, oh, I don't have the psychedelics. I'm doomed, or like, how can I feel better without, like, if all these people are saying this, but I don't have these things, how can I feel better now? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I categorize that as a way to communicate it as self-referential thinking.
okay,
So it's when I have thoughts about myself in terms of like communication, it's helpful. In terms of believing those thoughts to be true about myself, it's misleading. If I twist my ankle and go to the hospital, it's very helpful to tell the doctor that I twisted my ankle. You see what I'm saying? For communication, that's helpful. But
yeah,
then to believe that I'm the body and that it's my ankle, it would be to uh, misinterpret, misidentify.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah. I'm aware of. I mean, my mom's teacher he always goes on about he always kind of just wash, rinse, repeats, like the kind of teachings. So logically, I think logically I understand. Like, but I was saying I say to people around me, it's not as much thought. Sometimes I have no thoughts, but it's just a kind of feeling. Like sometimes you can feel heavy, sometimes you can feel light, but
Hmm.
it's kind of just the way you move through the world. Some
Hmm.
people feel an extra kind of weight to
Hmm.
existence, you could say.
Um, I see it differently.
Okay.
And it may or may not be helpful. I hope that it is. But that difference, I guess, to really draw out the point, any distinction whatsoever about feeling is false, in the sense that um, we certainly experience thinking about feeling, but we never actually experience a literal thinking feeling.
Okay.
So to say that feeling is light or heavy is thinking, or the veiling, if you will, of thinking feeling. Does that make sense?
So it's so you shouldn't judge in terms of, you should make a distinction between, like, to say this is happy, this is happy, this is sad, this is, you shouldn't do this, this is just,
Well, it's useful in exploring emotions, but it's not applicable to feeling. Another approach, another way to take a look at that is, this is going to sound silly, and that's kind of the point. It does sound silly, but do you know the direct experience of feeling or of to feeling? When you check right now, and again, words for communication, when you check within the body and you become more aware of sensation, more aware that there is feeling, can you find, just in feeling, without thoughts, can you find two?
two,
Yeah.
as in as in thinking and feeling, is that what you mean?
No, in the directness of feeling. So like just hearing the words. So when I say, if you bring awareness to the bottoms of your feet and notice there is sensation.
Mhm.
So you kind of just check inwardly and you feel and you notice, right?
Yeah.
That sensation, check it directly. Are there
Mhm.
two in there, so to speak?
So the two feet, you mean?
Well, the two feet would be a thought, and two would be a thought. So in letting the thoughts go and returning to just awareness, directly aware of sensation,
Okay. Yeah.
is there just awareness aware of sensation? Or do you find awareness aware of sensation 1 and sensation 2? Or is it only one whole sensation?
Yeah, it's just one. If you really had to just feel it, it would feel one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, in a sense, there's a worldwide epidemic of dualizing, mistaking what that feeling, what sensation is, because it's so often named. When really the words that name, quote, how I'm feeling, we're really talking about emotions.
Yeah.
And what veils us from the full realization that we each are creating our own emotions is the misunderstanding that feeling is plural. But when we check our direct experience, we don't find 2 or 3 or 4 or any number. It's just presence. It just is.
Yeah. I understand, but so you're saying you can have multiple feelings, but in terms of the actual sensation, it's just one sensation you have.
If and I'm being a stickler, right? But if I'm not a stickler, I'm really not doing a good job for you.
Okay.
If you take the S off of the word feeling, then yes. So feeling cannot be pluralized. There is no experience of feeling and feeling. It's just one.
Okay, so I get that. So that's okay. So then, is it? Say if you feel happy, like say, I don't know if you noticed. For me, if you feel happy, people can see it. But oftentimes, if you don't, if you feel if you feel something that isn't so good, you normally sometimes you have to tell people, I feel like this. So is that creating more problems? If you say I don't feel good today, or how do I, this isn't good, I should feel this or that.
Yeah, that's a very, very specific question. It's a great question. So in communication, if I were to go to the doctors, it's very helpful to say, my neck hurts versus my stomach hurts, right? Versus my head hurts. So, but then when we say that happiness is something that I experience, that already is a duality. I've already veiled myself as happiness from the fact that happiness is my true nature. It's not an emotion. It's who I am.
Okay. Yeah, because if you have something and then if you give it descriptions, like if you say like this, it's just say I have this. It's just an object. It's a ball. But if I start saying if I start giving things to it, am I making distinctions? I shouldn't be doing that if I really want to talk about this, for instance.
Well, it's sort of a both are fine scenario. You could say that is a gold ball, right? Of sorts. You could also say this too is me. So in the utilization of thought, one at a time, finite thought, is communication and creation. And by creation, I mean the exercising of human preferences, making choices. We experience, and then we know more what we don't and what we do want. And via the magic of focus, we focus on what we do want, right? But then there's conceptualizing my true nature. So when I say I feel happiness, that happiness is a concept, a thought, and it veils the very happiness from itself by saying there's this other self, this me, which feels it. But it's what feeling is. There isn't another self that feels it, that feels the happiness, which again points to emotions, which is why it's so helpful to be able to bring those two worlds together, if you will, to be able to understand the range of emotions. And the point of that is to bring happiness back to the true source of happiness. Which I don't know if that lands, but if clarity would help, I can kind of unpack that a bit.
Yeah, so people do say that. They do say happiness is your true nature. I mean, but personally, I get kind of... I'm not as emotionally charged, but people would say to me, or my mum would say to me, you know, if you say, this is the reality, like this feels like the reality, or this, or... And then people will say, oh, but you are love, you are happiness. Like, it kind of, maybe it's true, but when someone says that, when it feels like completely opposite, then you get kind of mad at that person. You think, what do you mean I am the love? I am, what is this? I think this is why some rational people, they get annoyed when they think, no, we're not, you know, we're just selfish humans, we're just, you know, stressed people, we're not happiness, we're not love, all this. It's hard to kind of understand where that's coming from. Yeah.
Well, it's like saying, can you be you? And there's a lot of stuff that you can do, right? But one of them is not being you, simply because you're already you. So the one thing you can never be is you, because you're already you. In the same sense, you can never be happy. That would be to miss. You're already your true nature. You're already you.
Okay. It makes it sounds plausible. I know all of these things in theory. I understand, but I understand you might be able to transfer that. You might be able to give them that kind of feeling, but when someone's stuck in a kind of spiral of thought, and if someone's stuck in that kind of internal barrier, to, you know, closed off from people, how would they understand that?
Well, that's over 99% of the population of the planet.
Yeah.
So the way that they would understand it is to uncover it, to recognize the assumptions, the very type of conversation that we're having, the things that we're realizing, how thought is dual and feeling is not.
So feeling just... I was saying this to myself, I guess, it just is. It's whatever's here is just here. There's no more to... I think this woman said it, actually. I was watching. It's just, there's just some kind of presence here, but whether it's sensations or thoughts, but it's just... but even if I was going to say there's thoughts and there's this and there's that's still separating everything, isn't it?
Well, it's how you experience it. So because it could be either. It could be like going to the doctors. So someone could be communicating, right, about their experience, but it's different than missing that awareness is aware of thoughts, for example. So there's the experience of the recognition of the way that awareness is experiencing, that awareness is aware of thoughts. There's another experience where that is not recognized, And awareness is saturated by believing and identifying with thoughts, which is conditioning, or the misidentification that one is the person or the object passing through time, and thus dies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can I I think that's been relevant. Could I share? I wanted to share about some experiences when I've been. This is when I've been meditating, but it's happened. It happened years before that. It's happened. Yeah, I'll try and describe it the best way. But yeah, I haven't found any kind of description of this on the internet.
Okay.
Weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's to do with attachment. You could say attachment, but it's sometimes when I'm meditating, it sounds strange. But even I kind of had this intuition, but like it scared me, so I had to act on it. If something, if say this is here now, but if I turn my head, then it's not there anymore. So, or if there's a person here with you, you could be like this. I think that when I thought about this was with like a friend, a girl, and she left the room, and I was like, oh, I have to check. Maybe she's. How do I know she's not disappeared? It sounds, but I think we're very much. Some people are okay with having things change, and say even these two things, they're okay with having everything just in random places. It doesn't affect their sense of self, but I think for me, I don't know if you understand, but I think for some reason, maybe it's because of childhood or what. Like the environment has to be in a very particular way, like otherwise, like I start to feel unstable. I start to kind of yeah. It could be. It used to be just people. If there was a certain person, like, oh, this person's here, then like if this person's here, then I feel okay. I don't have to. I feel kind of stable, but then I don't have to necessarily like. It's weird. I don't have to like the person, but just that their existence kind of makes things seem more. How do I say? It's hard to describe because it's more like a feeling. But sometimes there's been people who I thought they're gonna stay there forever. They're gonna be there. And then, if once they go randomly, it just, even though everything else is fine, it just feels like my whole reality, like just kind of gets destroyed.
Yeah, I agree. It's essentially conditioning, and you can't really be born. It's a very innocent conditioning. Is a very innocent word. You don't get born into this experience without forgetting your infinitude, without forgetting who you really are. So therefore, we all come in as a blank slate, and then we adopt the psychology and the conditioning of our environment, our culture, our family, the world, right? So one avenue to release that is to contemplate, and we can talk about it, is to find out, why did I start thinking that way? And I can give you an example from my past that might be helpful to sort of hone in and give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm 45, and it was not until I was around 35, somewhere in that neighborhood, that through contemplating why I was having certain tensions and feeling like, some possible future situations need to be avoided and some need to be guaranteed, right? And it was like this sense of urgency and stuff. And then I traced it back, and I realized I thought responsibility and pressure and urgency and tension were just, that's how reality is.
Because of the work
The work. If you work, you're stressed. So I never even thought about it till I was like 35. I was just stressed, trying to be really, really ahead of the curve, you know?
Yeah. I have a might be similar. It's about conditioning. I think this is conditioning, or maybe you could give a little bit of insight. So this is quite a common experience where I'll see someone, or sometimes I'll just be, you know, walking down the street or in the car or anything, and then I'll see someone, like it might be a girl, a woman, and then I'll see the woman, and then right away I'll just sorry, my mouth, it wants to tell you, but I think it's like fear of what other people would think. I see the person, and you can see a flower, or you can see a pretty thing, and you can just appreciate it's there. But I think for me, like sometimes, because I'm quite social, I'm not necessarily needing something, but sometimes I might see some woman, and I think to myself, oh, you know, this is perfection, this is so much beauty, so much, and like, you know, if I had this person, then the whole world would seem, because especially where I am, this country in general, it's so grey, and it's so, like, there's nothing really that inspires you, or visually, it's just, and then sometimes you see this person, and you think, you know, if I was with this person, everything would be beautiful, and like I would feel amazing, and I wouldn't have any of this. Back, I think this was to do with when I sent you the message. I wouldn't feel this sense of separation and this sense of unease around the world, and it just, it's not. I'm describing it as thoughts now, but it kind of just, after like 5-10 seconds, it just kind of, you just kind of like feel like a sinking feeling, and sometimes it's happened a few times. So sometimes it's not as powerful now as it was, but say if this was the first time or stuff, you feel it kind of, for a few days, it's a long time. It can happen maybe for a few days or a week, even though nothing's really changed, your brain kind of thinks, it feels like you've lost something. It could have potentially, this person, you know, if you had a chance, or if things were you know, lining up, then, you know, you missed out on this thing, you missed out on being whole and everything, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have felt that. I'm with you. I know exactly. So you see, using that example, you see the beautiful woman, whatever thoughts arise, and then the pit in the stomach. I have learned to interpret that a bit differently than before.
Okay.
You tell me. I'm going to try to kind of go slow and say this in parts. So the first part would be: do you see how the thoughts arise, and then the feeling seems to be about the woman, but the feeling is actually about the thoughts, and it doesn't feel good, because it's as if there's certain thoughts we have, and then feeling just can't go there. It just can't join those thoughts. It can't validate our interpretation, our thoughts. Is that making sense?
Do you mean that, say, you might have a you might go to McDonald's and you'll buy a, say, my mum just went to, actually, she went to KFC. This is why I'm thinking about it. But say they might give you something you don't like. You might have the thought the food isn't good, but you don't feel anything. Like, you have the thought, but you don't. There's no kind of feeling about it. Is that what you mean?
Well, I'll give you an extreme example that doesn't have anything to do with beauty, right? So
Okay.
if you saw a mom and a kid, and let's say the kid's real small, 6 years old, right, walking down the street, and then if for this is just a hypothetical example to really draw out what I'm saying. If you started to have thoughts about just walking up and punching the 6-year-old kid right in the face as hard as you could,
Yeah.
feeling, you would, that wouldn't feel good. Those thoughts you wouldn't feel so great, because feeling just wouldn't be able to join you in those thoughts, right? And you'd feel the offness. It wouldn't feel right.
Yeah.
So now with the scenario with seeing the beautiful woman, the same thing's going on, but the thoughts are just far more subtle. It's very easy to say, would you punch a 6-year-old boy in the face? No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't. Why? Because it wouldn't feel right, right? The beauty is so subtle. So have you recognized that beauty is intangible?
In a way, I have, but in a way, I also feel like I can be very, because I am quite artistic. I can be very critical. So, like, if I see something, if I see a building, I'll be like, I don't want to see it. But if I see something that is, like a rainbow or something, I'll be like in tears. So I have this like duality of like ugly and beautiful. Like, this is ugly and this is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like this is very real. It's not like a illusion.
So there's attraction, right? There's chemistry and attraction. So you could put side by side photos, and you could of let's say 2 women, and you could recognize that symmetry is more attractive, generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
Symmetrical faces, like the models on magazines, always symmetrical faces, right? But the beauty can't be touched or seen or actually found. So you could see a woman and say, oh, wow, how beautiful, and you're experiencing the recognition of beauty. You could see flowers and feel the same. You could be in a museum and maybe see a certain painting that you just all of a sudden are really feeling that beauty. But you can never say where the beauty actually is in the literal sense. In the very, very literal sense, it's experiential. We experience it, we know it, but you can't actually say, oh, this is beauty. You see, it's not tangible. You can't find it or touch it, even though we know the experience.
Yeah.
So again, taking it in parts, the next part, to not only make it simple to understand, but also so that it has some sticking power, so that this is with you going forward. I think of it as the loop. So what happens is, you see the beautiful woman, there are thoughts about that's a beautiful woman, and there's a feeling the experience of witnessing the beauty, right? But then there's that something, this as you said, the stomach or feeling is saying, something's off though. That loop just needs to be completed. So what happens is with thoughts, thought dualizes. Thought operates in 2, this and that, up and down, left and right, always 2. So thought attributes the experience of the beauty to perception, to something in perception, to something that is being seen. And then the ache in the stomach is saying, oh no, that's not quite right. Just complete the loop. And if you listen to feeling, listen to your stomach right now as I'm saying this, it will relay to you if there is any truth that's being pointed to here. Complete the loop and recognize beauty isn't seen. Beauty is not a personality trait. No one can ever point to it, because it's of our true nature. So to attribute it to one thing it's fine, right? If you're a casting director, maybe it's very helpful, depending on what characters you're portraying. But when you really get down to it, it's dualizing. It's taking the true nature of myself, believing that it's coming from something else, and that doesn't feel quite right. It's an arc, a half the loop. The other half is to bring it back and realize, where is this experience of beauty, the feeling of the experience of beauty? Where is it really transpiring?
Could I just make a comment on that?
Yeah, of course.
It does feel. When you said that, you said you'll have your feelings. They'll tell you if what I'm saying has. I get that, but I don't understand. So you feel if something feels off, but it kind of, the way I thought of that, the way I thought it as in feeling off is as in oh, it's me walking down the street is me, like, just me by myself and stuff. This sometimes I feel excited, but I don't feel like beautiful, or I couldn't see that as coming from myself. This beauty, it seems really radical to think that beauty is somehow reflected. It's reflected in them, but it's from myself.
Well, we attribute a lot to personality and perception, which really actually is our true nature. So when I say these words, the words are just pointing to what we both know, but is intangible. So when I say love, we both know what I'm talking about, but neither of us can find it anywhere. You feel it, you experience it. We know what the word points to, but you can't take a picture of love, right? Peace. We both know what that points to, but you can't find it in a closet, or you can't buy it, you can't sell it, you can't act. It's not tangible.
You can sign the piece of paper. Peace.
Right.
You can have the peace necklace as well.
Right. So we can have symbols, and the symbol is just like the word peace, and like the sound of me saying the word peace. That they point to something we all recognize. Yeah. The same with joy. Have you ever seen joy? Can't take a picture of it, but we both know, right? So it's our true nature. Beauty is no different. When we attribute it to something, and we feel the offness, the discord in feeling, just complete the loop. There's as much beauty in this guitar pick as a woman on a magazine.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing my spiritual practice right now is just, it's a bit of meditation, but some of it is just like this thing you was talking about, just like getting comfortable, getting familiar with what's actual. Mm-hmm. And I did. It's only happened a few times. Most of the time, if I get tears, it's negative. But 2 days ago, I saw my hand, and it was very strange. But I saw the hand, and I just started tearing up at the hand. I saw the. Mm-hmm. It was, the lighting on it was right there, like, the figure and stuff. But I thought to myself, is that maybe the enlightened people will say, oh, that's God crying for you, or seeing the beauty. But that, I don't know. Is that meant to be, is that meant to be a good thing, or? Because it's just, say, with the hand. But if I see the glasses, I'm not going to cry and be like, oh my God, this is so beautiful.
In the same way that thought implies that there are two, like this and that, and up and down, and in the same way that thought implies the beauty's coming from her, right? Same thing going on. The thought says there's positive and negative. There are the thoughts, positive and negative, but there is no actuality of positive and negative. It's expression, opinion. It's not actual.
So if I said that this is beautiful, that would be false, technically.
Well, yeah, and there's opinion, and there's a place for it. It's not wrong. There's no catch, I guess. But
Yeah.
when you were describing the beauty of the woman walking down the street, you weren't really expressing just an opinion. You were pointing to the visceral feeling of beauty and a certain non-agreeance felt in the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And that non-agreeance is really because the thought that says it's this experience of beauty is coming from her. And you could say some object, a thing, a picture, anything. Yeah. When thought gets in there, right? Gets in there and hijacks our true nature and attributes it to something that doesn't feel right, to the very true nature.
Yeah. So following from that, if you do the loop and then the thought, and then you have the thought of, I guess it stems from this, doesn't it? Where you think, oh well, I really, and I don't just mean beautiful in terms of I mean in terms of maybe they might be beautiful as in a kind of a way of being, not the way they are, the way someone is. You feel like a different energy. You kind of think, oh, if I was around this thing, this person, this object, or if I can't have this, then it's going to be different. But it does feel like it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same.
Right. And it feels really, really good, and you want more of it.
Yeah.
And then the thoughts, the mind says, and it's coming from that person. And the stomach says, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
But I would say feeling bad, but the feeling bad, it's because of the feeling bad is because they're not aligned. But I'm saying I'm feeling bad because of the perception, because of the thoughts. Mm-hmm. I'm mistaking the reason why I'm feeling the yeah.
It's like saying I feel better as long as this person's around. And what the words better feeling or good feeling or goodness point to is the very feeling. It's the goodness that you literally are, which can't quite be in agreement with the attributing the goodness to something other than you.
Okay. So your body's trying to tell you, like, stop. You're mistaken, my friend. That's what it's trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't attribute the body as the source of this goodness. The goodness just is the goodness that you are. We experience through sensation, through a body, the goodness that we are.
Yeah.
It's not anything other than that.
Okay. Yeah. I get
no
that
catch.
bit. So, so following on so then we talk about this goodness that it's not. I do know all the theoretically, everything's bliss, but in terms of actually getting in that direction. So say I'm not looping on certain things and stuff, and then I'm heading more towards this kind of what you're talking about. But then, so how am I going to get to that kind of place where it's where it's kind of more tangible? You know what I mean?
What place?
Well, this place where, well, where you say, beauty is what you are. Like for you to actually know that, like with 100, with like complete conviction?
Well, you'd have to be a second you to know that. For you to know you requires another you. You are you. You can make a great case that you're not you and hire the greatest lawyers in the world. But it's not going to pan out well because you're you. Even if you said you're not you, you're still the one saying it. You're still you. So if you're saying you are at a place, how can I get to that place? You kind of have to inspect the question. There really isn't an answer. It's just, where is this place that you are, that you could go to and find you? You're you. You just have to accept you're beautiful, that you're the goodness that you experience. I mean, really, that's.
So why would we do this, and why would we ascribe things with a certain? We give things value. We always evaluate things in terms of, this is anything, a car, or a piece of clothing. We do this all the time, and then we try and give ourselves all of this. We don't want to have what's not valuable in our eyes. Oh, I would never wear this. I would never go here. I would never. So, but all of this comes from the fact that we mistake the essence of what we're seeing.
Yeah, being born is the veil. So if you imagine, have you ever seen a newborn baby, like 1 month, 2 months old, like in person? Have you had that experience?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's moving, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like 45-year-old guy. There's an innocence that is so permeating and pungent that it fills the room, and you can't miss it, right? There's no conditioning yet. It hasn't created an identity, a conceptual sense of itself, or anything. It's just pure innocence, completely vulnerable. That's unconditional love, forgetting that it is unconditional love. So then when you say this person's okay and this person's not, you're still that unconditional love. That innocence just had some conditions layered over it. It doesn't come and go. It can't disappear. It's eternal. There's beliefs, preferences, etc. So this is okay, but this is not okay. And when it feels off, to put it very, very simply, if you can just muster the thought or the words, right? Not for anybody else, just for you. If you can just muster the thought, I love this too, though. That person I didn't think I liked being around, maybe I prefer not to be around them, but I love them. This place, that's not the popular place, right? It's not my preference to go there, and maybe it's a restaurant, right? Well, don't go there. But if you feel any discord, it's easily resolvable by just complete the loop. Go right back to your true nature. I might not want to eat there. It's not my preference, but I love it. I can love it and prefer something else.
Mm-hmm. This is something you say to yourself if you get if you haven't been conditioned to like something, or
to uncondition. So technically, this is language. We have to use language to communicate. So when you say to yourself, we don't mean that another self shows up that also is me, and I say it to myself. Just in the inner world, inner monologue, it resolves it by completing the loop, by bringing it back to your true nature. And the true nature is unconditional love. You don't have to eat at every restaurant, but if you judge one of them rather than just recognizing it's just a preference. Today I feel like spaghetti, tomorrow I feel like tacos, whatever, right? But if you're judging one and saying it's not good, the goodness isn't going to be able to go there because it's infinitely intelligent. That all that we experience is the true nature.
Mm-hmm. I'm taking it in. I'm taking it in. I sort of maybe we'll go back to this if I find a little bit of as soon as I get a good understanding. So before you were saying, because I haven't done my practice for 2 days because I did an hour and then I was really tired yesterday, but I was trying to push it to myself. I was saying to myself, I need to do an hour. I need to do an hour every day, and that's not really enough because I need hundreds of hours, and I need to spend years, and I need the psychedelics, and but you're I need to go on the special resort, the magical island with all of the fairies.
Right.
I need to fly there and
yeah.
find a plane.
Yeah.
But see, you said in terms of more. Well, this was practical, but in terms of more methodological things. So you said before, with what you're doing, you do 20, 30 minutes practice, and it seems to be more. Things seem to be happening anyway with this kind of with your kind of teaching, the way you kind of do things.
Yeah, things definitely do appear to be happening anyway. I think I appreciate that there's a sort of a sentiment of a compliment of a teaching. I appreciate it, but I don't think that it's beneficial for you to think of it that way. So take the amount of time. So one of the ways that we think about meditation as a practice is the amount of time. And that's very much like places, right? If somebody was to, believe it or not, there are people that I talk with that say that if you meditate in these certain places, it's a whole different experience. And if they're having a great experience, it's a great experience. There's no problem. It's wonderful. But if you take time and places, right? And let that just have nothing to do with meditation. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's 6 hours. Maybe it's not at all, right? So let's just take time and where you're at out of the equation. What really transpires in meditation? So someone has never meditated, and then someone who has meditated every day. What happened, right? In our contemporary environment, day to day, we're very, very attached to the thoughts. Have you heard the phrase "empty your cup"? It's kind of an old ancient phrase. So there are people who are believing that this is a cup, that don't recognize that cup is a thought, and this is perception. So if I'm attached to my thought, which is cup, I miss that perception is one unseparated whole. For lack of a more descriptive word, it's pure magic. It's ineffable. It's unexplainable. It's pure magic. But just by believing that my thought is perception, I reduce this magic to just being a cup without even noticing. Light speed, I don't even notice, right? So in meditation, the activity of the mind just settles. And then when it does, what begins to be recognized, which you probably have experienced, this probably will relate, is that the very true nature, the peace, the love, awareness, consciousness, right? Joy, these words that point to who we really are, what begins to be recognized is that's what's appearing as the very thoughts. That's what's the activity of the mind. When it settles, it's felt. More than felt, it's what feeling is.
Like, I haven't had that kind of experience where I wouldn't be able to distinguish things from each other. I haven't had that experience.
Well, you can right now. Do you know what this is? I'm hoping you don't, because I got to find something that you don't know what it's called. You know what this is? So right now, you're experiencing perception without labeling it. So this is a mystery. This is unknown. You don't know what this is. You're seeing something that you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I have a label for it, right? I learned it. It's called a capo. I don't know if you recognize the thing, but it goes on a guitar to change the key, right? It probably rings a bell now. I'm sure you've seen a guitar with a thing on the neck. I learned the word capo. And I attach, when I see this, the thought comes up, and that thought is capo. And it's the same for everything else. How old would you, just a total guess is fine. How old would you guess that you were when you learned the word ball?
2, 3.
Yeah. But you learned it. And before you learned it, what was it?
The word, or you mean the?
Yeah.
It was a UFO. It was a.
Nice. Right. Well, the key is, before I learned and attached to the word ball, there was no separation, right? I wasn't experiencing a pattern of a distinction that that's a ball and this is me. It was just the experience, just childlike, right? What might seem mundane, unless as grown-ups, right, we start to recognize this. Then we start to feel the innocence again, and feel and live the truth again, and be that innocent kid again. And reality is shockingly ineffable magic.
The ineffable part I have perceived the ineffable part, but I haven't. It hasn't made me like. It hasn't made me like gobsmacked. I haven't been like, wow. It's like I can say, yeah, it's a mystery, but it doesn't seem like a mystery big enough to like make me, fall to the edge of the bed or something when I'm sick. I do sense it, but to link this in back with the emotions, I did make a forum post a month ago or something, but in terms of the conditioned mind, the fact I can't describe it, or when there's things that my ego mind can't describe, it feels helpless in a way. It feels like I can't make sense of anything, and like I think that's sometimes I get emotions, shedding like negative emotions because of that, because it's like you don't know how to navigate around this sensory field if it's just like ineffable, if it's just indescribable.
The mind can't make sense, period. So even trying to make sense is short for sensation, feeling.
Yeah.
The mind can't do that. The mind's not for that. The mind's working perfect. It's just not for that feeling. You got a whole body for feeling. The mind makes it experiences, and then creates preferences, and then exercises those preferences vocally or by choosing, and that's creation. That's what's keeping creation going.
Yeah, creation.
And it's readily present, but it's sort of like the term. I think you used the term Godsmacked. You can't hold the expectation to be Godsmacked.
You're gonna be in disbelief when you realize the essence of reality.
Which is to say, not believing your thoughts. Wouldn't that be the same as saying a state of disbelief? But you can't be Godsmacked, just like you can't be you-smacked. You can't smack you. I mean, in a way, in a funny way, you could. You could use your hands, right? but you can't really smack you, because there isn't really anywhere that you end and another you begins, such that one could smack the other one.
But how can you call? I'm being skeptical just for the sake of learning.
Yeah.
But how can you call that? I understand the oneness, everything. I get that, but in terms of my experience, how is this, like you say, you don't begin, you don't end, it doesn't it's not born, it doesn't die. But how is this, like how is this me beyond this is, I don't end? I don't see how that could be the case.
Well, how implies causation.
Sorry?
How. The word how.
Yeah.
It's like saying, what is the cause and the effect? How does this happen? Right? Which that only occurs in the activity of thought. Two-ness, cause and effect, 1 and 2. When you, if you're willing, be silly with me. Just go like this. Is there a how you're doing that in your direct experience? Is there a how? Can you tell me how you're doing that?
So I've tried this. I could think it's my electrical impulses. I could say that, but I mean, I can't see any mechanism.
So do you see how that labeling comes in, right? And you could go with it. You could say, well, it's neurons and muscles and tissue, etc., etc., etc. That just keeps on labeling it. It never actually gets to a how I'm doing this. We can label it and label it and label it and label it. I mean, you can spend your whole life. The research of labels could be a whole new field of science. Just the focus on labeling. And you could always come up with some other word, because we are, creation keeps going via us. So you can always create another label. But it never actually defines how the simplest thing is just doing this. It never defines it. Because this is, one way to say it is, the hand and the air are exactly the same. Exactly the same. No difference whatsoever. It's infinite being, appearing as this. So the air is just as free and spontaneous as this hand. But with the
hand still can't. It can't, like, it can only go so many ways and do so many positions, and it can only, it's confined to certain things, isn't it?
Well, it depends how you look at it. For there to be an experience, there has to be somewhere, right? Because if there isn't somewhere, there's no experience. So there's got to be somewhere. And then there has to be some way, some way of experiencing the somewhere. So is it a limit? Well, it really depends how you look at it. And I'm being heavy-handed here, bear with me, but from from most people's perspective, that's a limitation. From the true nature's perspective, it's creation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the miracle of experience.
Yeah. Mm.
It's being.
All that, I can accept what you're saying, but it follows from that I know if I give you a doubt, or if I give a rebuke to what you're saying, you'll say, oh, it's just drop the fall, but I can't see the mystery. I can see the mystery, but then from that mystery, I can't have certainty that this is a consciousness is everywhere, and like you know all of these like really metaphysical things. I can't understand that from just this here.
Well, no one can. I can't do that either.
But they do. But some people they do, don't they? They say, oh well, I've discovered that reality is, I am reality, or stuff like that.
Well, no one can really distinguish that from this. There's just the very simple recognition that this and that are thoughts. Where is this and that in perception? We don't find a this and that in perception, and we don't find it in feeling. But it's found as thoughts.
Yeah.
Thoughts will even say, the beauty's coming from that.
So if the beauty's not coming from that, it's coming from me, then technically it shouldn't change, should it? It shouldn't go up. It shouldn't oscillate between this and that. Then it should always feel like this is a beautiful happening.
Well, it is. You can oscillate all you want. Essentially, that looks like feeling really good and suffering, and feeling really good and suffering. All roads lead to, why am I suffering? Why every time that I have these thoughts that the beauty's coming from something other than me, why do I feel suffering? You know, nobody's getting out of this love. There's nowhere else to go.
All this love.
Try all you want. No one's escaping the beauty. You can't not be you. You can try. It doesn't feel great. If you listen to the feeling, it does get funny.
Mm-hmm. Don't. I get that. I do get that. But I do get that. But even if that was true, I would still think. It seems impossible to get rid of these. Well, you have perceptions, and then you ascribe the perception with a quality. You say this is a red perception, this is a green, and that this is a beautiful perception, this is an ugly perception. But so I think I did that a little bit with you. But I think to just get rid of it altogether seems like quite a big task to just do like that. Well, there must be some kind of practice to get like that.
There really isn't, because it's always now. So there's no big thing to get rid of. We each experience one finite thought at a time. So as a thought comes up, you feel an extent of it either resonates, as in feels great. True nature is like, heck yes to that thought, right? And you feel it. Or it doesn't resonate. It's something you just start noticing now. It's not some big, I mean, go to the places and have the experiences by all means, right? Go look.
Yeah. Because from the past, from a year ago, 2 years ago, that'll feed in nicely. So if I'm meditating, I might think about someone who I'm not speaking to anymore. It might just be someone I knew for one night or a week, or not even people I've really been with for a long time. But then they come into my head, and I feel this like loss, like, oh, this like this moment compared to that moment, how should we say, it's like a barren wasteland. This being is like barren. It lacks something. This memory, had a kind of, it felt more. Sometimes you have a memory, but it feels more real than what's here. Sometimes, like, you get the memory comes, and it's almost like you're in two places at once, even though it's happening in the present.
The feeling will always feel more real than the memory. And you can pop in any type of word for thought. Feeling will always feel more real than any thought, than any concept, than any interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But feeling feels real because it's real. And thought, like, have you ever noticed that thought appears and then disappears? Like, you haven't experienced the one thought just stuck in there your entire life. One thought, solid, never moves, right? You experience a thought just seems to appear and then it disappears. Yeah. Well, what's another word for something that just appears and you can't really explain how, and then it disappears and you don't even know how? What would you call that?
An illusion?
Well,
illusory?
Yeah, I mean, there's a place for that. But then, is it separate from you? Like, we know the experience of thought, but you can't put it in a jar. You know, it's not a thing.
I could answer. I don't feel I could give the right answer to that. It's not very straightforward to answer that.
Well, I'm just saying it can be noticed that the direct experience is that thought magically appears, no explanation, and then it magically disappears, no explanation. And it has this apparent nature to it that if a thought comes up and it feels good, and you focus on it, you feel good, right? And the more you focus on it, the more similar thoughts come up. And then you're creating emotion. Mm-hmm. That emotional scale, have you seen that at all? I share it a lot on the forum, etc.
No. Yeah.
It really is a gold mine.
Emotional scale. I have seen your.
So I'll send you a link to it.
Is it from? Because I have read the book, the Abraham Hicks book. Is that?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The thing is, I did read that. Like, I just, because we don't have much time. I did read that, and I did. Like, I was doing what it was saying for a while. But then nothing really. I thought, I'll think about the next. Think about meeting a good friend, or you want to meet a good friend, or you want. But then, like, I was feeling better for a while, but then it was still, the external was still the same. So to me, it was like, oh, it doesn't. What's this? I felt like I was feeling different for a while, and then, but it didn't seem to manifest anything different.
Well, there's no it. The it is you. You didn't make a dream board.
Huh? You
didn't make a dream board.
No, but it was in my head. The dream board was in my head. I mean,
right, but like,
does it have to be?
This is what that is experienced like in my head, and I'm doing this with my hand to really, really drive home for you to notice. I cannot see what the hell's going on. I can't focus on anything. I can't see it at all. It's just thoughts swirling. But this that's planted in my house that I see every day, that I write, what just comes magically right out of me, right out of feeling, through thoughts, preference, what I want. That comes from feeling. The board gets filled with that, and I see it every day. I don't have to do this thing and try to focus or whatever. It's right there. It's right here. It's not yesterday. It's not there, right? Then today, you write. You get a dry erase board. You write stuff you want on it. Now it is there. Don't be fooled by the apparent simplicity. That's you creating reality. It didn't exist, and then you create it, and now it does. That's exactly what the board and your life become. Here's a weird question for you. Have you ever just been sitting somewhere and reality whispered a condition in your ear? And reality just said, you can do this, but you cannot do this. Has that anything like that ever happened?
not explicitly, but then if you see a nice hotel, for instance, if you can't just walk in and just you could go in theory, but it's not like you can just go, oh, I want to stay here. Here's, they'll give you a room just because you want to. Just because you want to do something doesn't mean you can do something.
So the person that works at the front desk, let's say, might exercise their preference, their policies. They've created that hotel. They have a way of managing it, right? I'm not talking about coming from a person. I'm talking about reality. The whole of your reality right now. It never imposes a single condition upon you, ever. It's pure, unconditional. Your role is you come up with the conditions, the preferences, what you want. And it just says, yep. That's it. It's just constant yesness. Yep, yep, yep. If you look around right now, again, there's no thing to figure out. It's just noticing this is what's been going on the whole time. The environment, whatever environment you're in right now, if you look around and notice, there's nothing present which does not trace back to your choice, your preference. Another way to think about it, you made a whole bunch of choices in life, right? And it's a series of choices that lead to experiences. They've led to you talking to me, telling you this. You must have wanted to know.
I did. The only doubt, I seem to have a lot of doubts today. Really,
Don't focus on it. Let it go.
For instance, I'll give a quick example to do with this.
Wait, this is even better though. This is even better. Trust me on this one.
Okay.
Don't focus on doubt. Literally, just let it go. This is where you use the emotional scale. The next emotion above doubt is disappointment. Have you ever experienced, when you have that doubt, sometimes you experience disappointment? Like the stuff I want to do and I want to create, but I'm feeling disappointed, right? Then you move to the, and I have it on the screen. I would make a dream board and print the emotional scale, right? And print it on the board. When you feel disappointed, you sometimes feel overwhelmed by it. And then when you're overwhelmed, you get frustrated and impatient, right? That sense of urgency can be even more overwhelming. Then you start to feel pessimism. You think about your future and it's not going, you don't see it going the way that you want it to go, right? I experienced this, you've experienced this, we all experience this. This is the beauty of the emotional scale. Then paradoxically, you end up experiencing boredom. You have a lot of energy, there's a lot you want, but at the same time, you end up not doing much and bored, right? It's weird. Then when you're experiencing boredom, you reach for a little bit better feeling. Just the power of the scale, of using this emotional scale, is moving a tiny bit, just one emotion at a time. Not trying to just jump to everything's love. One bit at a time, over and over, and then your body, mind does it for you. So when you are experiencing the pessimistic thoughts or the boredom, move to contentment. That's the best move, and it's the simplest thing in the world. Take a look around the room right now. Just have a look around. Can you feel, not think, but feel, okay, just where I'm at right now, just this moment, it's fine however it is. Not yesterday, not 5 minutes from now, just right now. It's fine how it is. That's contentment, right? It's important.
Yeah.
It's kind of nonchalant, seems mundane, but it's very important. Well, if you can stop and recognize this now moment is fine how it is, that brings about a certain sense of hopefulness. Because if you can do it now, you can do it anytime. Even if the shit hits the fan and you get caught up in some frustration again, you can always just look at the emotional scale and then it will bring you right back to now, to presence. And you can recognize, yeah, okay, a lot's going on, but I can be content with just right now, and then you're feeling hopeful again. When you're feeling hopeful, you're feeling your true nature. And then automatically, because the true nature is just pure goodness, you start having thoughts that feel better. So then you become optimistic, and you think, yeah, feeling this way, feeling good, letting it go, feeling content, feeling hopeful, I start having positive thoughts and positive expectations, right? And then you feel solid about it, and you start saying, yeah, I can literally believe and expect that these things are going to unfold. And then you start to get enthusiastic about it. It's exciting. It's, quote, why you came. It's the whole point. To feel that exhilaration and that enthusiasm and that passion about what's coming right out of you and going on your board that you want to experience in your life. Then you start seeing realities becoming them. It's an email from somebody. It's a phone call from somebody. It's somebody knocking on your door that has the wrong house. You got to like open your eyes and look for the unconditional reality lining up to what you're writing on the board. Then you just start getting lost in appreciating experience, just loving it. The whole thing is the same thing with the beauty. You loop via the emotional scale right back to the love.
Can I just say one thing? I know when I finished about what you said just now about the it does sound great. I think that the one obstacle I had with that is that people would say this, or someone's knocking on my door, but then for me I haven't really had one of those instances happen. So then it's hard to, when people say, oh, it's great, it works, but then for people that hasn't happened to, then they think, oh, it doesn't work, it's woo-woo, it's...
Well, the people that it happens to aren't exceptional in any way. They just are people who are not focusing on that it's not happening. So, law of attraction. If your focus is on that this isn't happening, your experience that you're creating is this is not happening.
Okay. Say you wanna meet a, like, I'll just give a personal example. Say you do something creative and you want to find someone else who's similar and you can do things with, but I could say it hasn't happened. Nothing's happened. I haven't met anyone like this. But I should just act like it is happening. Like, oh, sure,
No. It's not a new belief. It's not a new thing that you have to do. It's noticing this is what's been going on your entire life.
Okay.
It's regular, mundane reality that's actually our inexplicable self that just loves the shit out of you. Has no shortage, right? It's infinite. It can appear as anything. It's no trouble for infinite being to appear as what you want. It's no trouble at all. It's not like a car that needs a certain amount of gas to drive somewhere. It's infinite.
Mom, it's a package.
That's it right now. This is it happening right now.
That's just the
Don't justify it.
Look, I ordered that off yesterday.
Right.
I'm a doing it.
You exercised the preference, and now it came, but you're saying there's a me in a package. I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, that's fine, right? It's fine. But the whole thing is inexplicable because it's infinite being.
Don't ask anything. Don't comment on it. If something happens or not happens, don't comment on it.
Well, you can comment on it, just enjoy it.
No, but don't try and say, oh, it's because of this or because of that. Or
yeah, it's all you're the. Here's one last thing that will help.
Okay.
A lot. It really drives it home.
I want to try. I really do want to listen to what you're saying and try and
Mm-hmm. Again, the emotional scale. Print it. Put it on your dream board. That's the key, because you'll have thoughts and then you won't like how you feel, And if you don't go to the scale and start recognizing how to move up emotionally, right? If you just say, oh, it's how I feel, then picture this guy saying, no, it's not, it's emotions. It's not how you feel. How you feel is unlimited love. What you're experiencing is the thoughts and the feeling, or emotions. So the scale is a critical thing.
Okay.
Are you, and we're going to kindergarten, so simple answer. Are you aware of thoughts?
Yeah.
Now think awareness. Can't do it. Goes one way. Awareness is prior to thoughts. It cannot go the other way. There's no thinking awareness. It doesn't go that way. Right?
Yeah.
This makes sense. It's very, the more it lands, the more profound it is. Creation's happening like this. Literally, from you out. The conditioning is, no, that the conditioning says, no, there's a physical universe that I, as a person, am in. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is you're dreaming a guy to tell you you're dreaming. And you can focus on whatever you want, and your dream has no limit and will become it. And you can let go of whatever conditioned thoughts, whatever conditioned emotions. You have the tool. You can understand it and let them go. Don't run back and forth to the store buying one little tiny pack of Kleenex at a time. Just get a big case. When you're letting the conditioning go, right? It's the waterworks.
So when I said before about, but this is in meditation, when you just, like, tears just keep coming. That's okay. That's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. More of that. The alternative is to hold it in, and then it just ends up stress and tension and anger and lacks of well-being. Signs of lack of disease, etc., etc., etc. I would go the completely right to feeling. I would sit down and meditate, relax, let the mind settle a bit, and then just say, okay, where is this beauty? And you'll feel it.
Where is the beauty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask your source, if you will. Right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Source. Yeah.
And it will answer, and you will feel it.
Okay, Philip. So the emotional scale, is that? Can I find that easy on? I'm sure I'll look at your post now, and I'll be able to understand what you're saying easier.
Yeah, I'll send you. I recently added it to my website because I recommend it so much. And as you said, it is compliments of Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks.
I never made a dream board. I just thought it takes too much time, and I have to.
Yeah. You have to.
But it has to be visual. It has to be visual, very detailed, very cohesive kind of thing.
You just write what you want on it.
But do you print pictures of things and stuff, or
if that's what you want on it, yeah, for sure. Whatever feels good to you. The more you're focused on what feels good to you, the more that reality becomes it.
Okay.
Check and see. Don't take my word for it. Check and see.